This meeting is now being recorded.
Good morning, Derby agents. This is Kevin Shady from Derby headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky, where we are back and better than ever. And boy, do we have a great opportunity for you today. First off, let me thank each and every one of you for joining this call this morning. You know, we typically have these calls at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but this is a special invite-only presentation and opportunity that we have with the company. You see there on the slide from Kindred Hospital Rehabilitation Services, KHRS for short. It is a division of Kindred Healthcare, and we have the Senior Vice President of Sales, Marty Mann, who's going to take us through just what is a absolutely phenomenal opportunity for all of us, with all the heavy lifting being done by Marty and his team. So, Marty, I'm going to hand it off to you.
All right, great, Kevin. Thanks. Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Over the next maybe 15 minutes, I'll just roll out a bit of an agenda for you. We're going to go through a little bit about exactly what Kevin said, an exciting opportunity that, and really first of its kind for Kindred Healthcare in working with folks like yourselves to expand our footprint in the hospital rehabilitation world. We'll go through a little bit of the product. We'll go through a little bit of the structure with that we've aligned with the Derby Group, a little bit of history of Kindred Healthcare, take you through a case study or two to give you some sort of barometer on exactly what the opportunity looks like and who the targets are. And then that should take us through about the first 15 minutes or so, and then we'll open the lines up for Q&A and get into some specific questions. On the back end of this, I'll say this again up front, but on the back end, if any of you individually have any specific questions after this call, please work with Kevin to schedule some time with me, and I'll individually answer each of your questions or schedule calls with you. So with that, I will get started. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Marty Mann, the Senior Vice President with Kindred Hospital Rehabilitation Services, and what we do, guys, is work with the short-term acute care hospitals throughout the country, and there are about 4,500 of those throughout the country, in providing them with and optimizing their post-acute level of services. By post-acute, I mean all of those things that are after a med-surg or medical surgical stay in a hospital. You see here on this list, we provide management, oversight, and even joint venture and site assessment and quarterly consulting to departments of the hospital, like skilled nursing units, medical surgical therapies or the therapies provided on the med-surg space, home health and hospice, the outpatient setting, and most specifically the inpatient rehab unit. And this is really where a large amount of the opportunity and a large amount of the focus should and needs to be looked at. By inpatient rehabilitation unit, that's a distinct part unit that is solely focused on the medically and complex folks that need rehabilitation. You might know it as somebody in your family or somebody that you know might have had a stroke, or somebody might have had a traumatic brain injury from an accident. That's where they go. You hear Senators Gabby Gifford, went to an inpatient rehab facility to regain their form and function for their life. We focus, to give you some scope, there are, as I mentioned, 4,500 short-term acute care hospitals approximately throughout the country. Each one of these 4,500 hospitals has one of the first four, the skilled nursing, med-surg therapies, home health and hospice, and outpatient. About 1,000 of those 4,500 hospitals have a distinct part inpatient rehabilitation unit. We currently manage or provide management for a little over 100 of those hospitals that have an inpatient rehab unit, which means there are approximately 900 others out there. That are our largest competitor is not any one company. We own a vast market share, a leading market share in this space. The largest single competitor is self-operations, folks who say, you know what, we're just going to do it ourselves. So that's a little bit of the depth and breadth of the product offering itself. When you're looking for targets, when we look at targets, an ideal hospital in our world, in the 100 plus that we work with currently, the demographics of those are really the 80 to about 400 acute care bed hospital in general proximity to some metro area. We currently work in 47 states. Not in Hawaii and Alaska, although I'm all for going to Hawaii if anybody would like to schedule something. A vast majority are fit into that category. Most of the time, the pitch or the opportunity rests with hospitals that have in this example, a 250-bed community-based hospital with 15 ARU beds or acute rehabilitation unit beds that have a census of 5, and they think that that's doing well. What we want to work with them on is optimizing and maximizing the market potential and the patients in there so that 15-bed unit has an average daily census or is filled most of the time into 10, 12, 15 patients. And for that, there is a significant financial uptick for the hospital. So that's the target market. Those are kind of an overview of the services. And again, as we look at those markets, you see, population centers, level 1, level 2 trauma centers. If you know what a level 1, level 2 trauma center is, those are the ones where the gunshot wounds and the ones that are, very highly complex patients are going to be transported to those facilities in those cities. Our profile of a customer is somebody who has an existing acute rehabilitation unit that is underperforming. And by underperforming, we look at, clinically, that clinically the patient outcomes are not where they should or could be or where they are at our existing units throughout the country. Operationally, they've got some significant operations problem, either with employee turnover or the provision of therapy, and financially they're not maximizing the opportunity that exists as an organization to financially benefit from these types of patients that are compliant going to these facilities. So, one of again, going back, when you'll hear the word and you'll hear us say post-acute continuum strategy. If you go back, let me go back to this slide right here. This is considered the post-acute continuum of care. These orange sites of service. So when we say that, post-acute describes the ARU, the inpatient med surg, and the therapies, and the inpatient and outpatient. So what is the product offer, guys? In a nutshell, this is a 3 or 4 bullet item in a nutshell of what we do. We look to improve clinical and patient outcomes for the hospitals that we work with. We provide a more efficient operation for them to benefit from. We have consistent compliance oversight so that hospitals won't get out on the edges with any compliance mechanisms. And how we engage our clients, most importantly, is on a risk-sharing basis, that we get paid as they get paid, and we'll put monies aside on a risk-share basis for performance. So if we don't perform, we'll put something on the side that says you don't have to pay us if we don't perform in providing good patient outcomes, in providing efficient operations of the unit, or if there's a compliance issue. I'm not going to go into everything on this slide. Pretty busy slide. When I talk about at-risk partnerships, we again put monies aside from our standard fees on a quarterly basis to focus on clinical, financial, compliance, and operations metrics that can be measured, and if we overachieve them, that then, we're going to get paid. If we don't achieve them, then we won't get paid. We're aligning our operations and our focus with how, we believe partners should be engaged going forward. These are the four main buckets of any well-run, patient-centered management of a unit that's out there in the acute rehabilitation space. Let me take you through a real-life client here. In the Midwest, where I'm from, there's, again, 250-bed Level 2 trauma center that had an existing unit that had 20 existing acute rehabilitation beds with an average daily census of 8. When we looked at the market and the available types of patients that would have been compliant to go to this unit, there was greater than 20 ADC available. So what anecdotally you see is that there's an underperforming unit here that's not meeting market demand. So we approached that hospital, typically the CEO, the CNO, the CFO, the C-suite, the folks who are making operational decisions for the hospital. And we approached them and worked with them to develop a closer to the ground market analysis and business plan to optimize that existing acute rehab unit to meet the market demand of greater than 20 patients. In doing so, what we learned is that not only were they not admitting enough patients to that to the unit, the acute rehab unit, but their clinical outcomes, the percentage of patients discharged back to the community after their stay in the acute rehab unit was below the national averages that we see and that we experience in the 100+ that we currently manage. That they had consistent turnover of operations, of the management staff, of the therapy staff, and they had declining physician and patient satisfactions. The folks who admitted the patients to the unit, the physicians or the people in the unit that were discharged, weren't satisfied with the results that they were getting. So now you've got in this case study, you've got a market that is not being met. You've got a hospital that's underperforming in this unit and a management team that's turning over, and folks that aren't happy going to that unit when they do go there and get discharged. So really what we did is we put in a complete turnkey ARU management solution. We brought in a management team. We brought in therapists. We worked with the physicians, and we worked to improve the clinical and patient outcomes. And in the first year of the partnership, the hospital realized a $1.1 million annual net contribution. Important to say net. That was after any fees paid to us, and an at-risk basis, which is really significant to a hospital. If you all seem to work in hospitals now, you know how tight margins are. You could read the paper and see what's happening in Washington, the margins and how they're looking at reimbursing hospitals. So when there's an untapped need and an untapped funding of $1.1 million in annual net contribution to the hospital, it's pretty important to them. And it is a game changer, an absolute game changer. So let's focus on what we've put together with the Derby Group. And again, guys, at Kindred Healthcare, this is the first time we have, and we're real excited about this. We think this is an absolute gold mine that's just waiting to be tapped. We've never done this with agents before. We're looking to expand our footprint. We know you guys are absolute pros at doing this. And have the relationships, and we want to go arm in arm with you to make sure that in any introduction that gets made, that we are only complementing your existing relationship with that person or that facility and not harming it in any way. Towards that end, what we've done is put together a structure where for $1,000 for any qualified appointment. So, what qualified means is if there's an appointment that we have that turns into a proposal for the services, any of the services at the beginning, then that $1,000 gets paid immediately to you all. When a customer signs an agreement, and typically the agreements are from 3 to 5 years to provide them with, the management and operational services, that turnkey management services, there's a $10,000 payout right away. And then on recurring monthly commissions, it'd be 2% on an ongoing basis for the term of that agreement for the initial first 10 contracts. To give you some example, the average revenue that is produced by an average account throughout the country for us right now is $1.2 million annually. So it's $24,000 per year, just doing simple math, right? 2% of 1.2 million is $24,000. We sign a 5-year deal, that's $24,000 or more a month, or a year, I'm sorry, a year. With that, I'm going to, Sherm or Kevin, I don't know if your mics are still open. Did I miss anything on that?
Marty, this is Sherm. I didn't hear you talk about how big the market was, as you've expressed to us as we've been meeting with you for the last 2 months. How big is that market?
Okay, so, and thanks, Sherm. If I didn't, I apologize. Again, there's approximately 4,500 short-term acute care hospitals, the hospitals you know in your communities throughout the country. Of those 4,500 hospitals, there's approximately 1,000 facilities that have a distinct part acute rehabilitation unit. So that's the market. We can sell, we can provide services to every single one of those 4,500. They all have med-surg therapies, outpatient therapies, and of the 4,500, 1,000 of them have distinct part acute rehabilitation units, which is really our sweet spot, guys. Does that answer your question, Sherm?
Yeah, and going down to what's important to them, all of our agents, I think you need to just explain to them in the comp plan, all they have to do is get you in the door and get a proposal. You will have people with you, with them, and you have them all over the country, and I also like you to talk a little bit about references.
Yep. Okay, so that's a great point. So on my team currently, I have 5 business development officers geographically located in the 5 regions of the country, from the Northeast to the West, and inclusive of that, we have 5 regional vice presidents of operations that run those regional operations at those sites that we currently provide services to. So if I'll just take you through an example. If one of you was to know a CEO of a hospital that was interested in talking about the post-acute continuum and how Kindred Hospital Rehabilitation Services can help them, you would schedule that meeting. We would go with you. I would go with you for an introduction to that person. And from that, what we'd want to do is provide them with a proposal for the services, assuming 1, they had a need, and 2, they wanted to do it. And from there, we being Kindred and my team, would do all the heavy lifting. We would work with the hospital to gather the right information. We would develop the proposal. We would put it all together and schedule, either through you or with you, a follow-up meeting to present that proposal to them on how we might be able to assist them in optimizing this service line.
Okay, so let me just ask, do you have anybody in Chicago? Because we have a fellow that really is connected.
Absolutely. Throughout the country, again, I mentioned 47 states, 100 or more contacts. There's not a region of the country or even a city that we can't provide references to, or if it's not a city that we currently work in, and I'll get to Chicago in a second here, Sherm, if it's not a city we currently work in, there's not a hospital type or characteristic that we don't work in, from the smaller 80-bed, more rural hospital in somewhere Kansas to a large inner-city hospital in L.A., Chicago, or Phoenix.
Hey, Marty, this is Kevin. So let's drop back just again one more time, and because we're being asked by an agent to explain the difference between the 4,500 hospitals and the 1,000 hospital subset of that 4,500. Let's make sure they're clear.
Okay, and I'll get to Chicago right after this question. There are currently approximately 4,500 what they call short-term acute care hospitals, or STACs, in the country. Those are the hospitals in every one of the towns that you live in and that you drive by where you see the big blue H. Within those 4,500 hospitals, there are 1,000 of them that are licensed to provide in a distinct part setting acute rehabilitation services in a unit of that hospital. Okay? So of the 4,500 is the total number of targets. The 1,000 is the sweet spot, those hospitals that have an existing acute rehabilitation unit.
And what you're wanting to do is go in and take over the management of that in-hab unit, right?
Exactly. And in the city of Chicago, we have we have 1, 2, 3 in and around the general metro area, at least 5 clients with health systems that currently utilize our services. Some of the bigger health systems. So.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is Russ Davidson. Will we be provided a list of those that you do business with so we don't duplicate the effort?
Yes, what we've provided is targets and a listing and targets of those hospitals that we have already pre-screened as far as characteristics for success, so that we know the 1,000 hospitals that have acute rehab units right now, and we know what their bed size is and what their current average daily census is. So we know the ones that are underperforming right now.
And Russ, this is Kevin. We actually, Marty and his team and all their market research folks provided us with a list just recently of 700 target hospitals, the first 700 to target by state. So what we're going to ask everyone on this call to do is send to Mike or Sherm or myself a list of the hospitals where you have relationships, and we're going to help manage it so we don't have everybody in there stepping all over each other.
Did that answer your question, Rush?
It did. Thank you.
From here, maybe we can, if it's okay, Kevin, is open up the line unless there aren't any other, for questions or additions from Kevin, you, or Sherm, or Mike.
Well, I think what I'd like you to do real quick is go through, just give them a sense of who Kindred is and the
That's right.
corporation as a whole.
Okay. I apologize. So Kindred Healthcare is a publicly traded organization based out of Louisville, Kentucky. It is the largest provider of post-acute services in the country. We have over 105,000 employees in 47 states. We treat and take care of over 1 million patients a year in 2,800 plus sites of service. Guys, I jokingly say this, but it's the God's honest truth. All this company does is take care of patients in the post-acute setting. And while we're a public organization and traded on the New York Stock Exchange, we don't have any ancillary businesses. Our sole businesses are focused on the post-acute continuum of the care and the patients and the residents that we serve, and providing them the absolute best clinical care and outcomes that we can. Currently, if there are, this slide really goes into our key success factors. We take care of the patients, the residents, and the customers. We're looking to grow, i.e., this is why we're on this phone call and excited about working with you all. The efficiency of making sure that we're having our 100+ thousand employees working efficiently to provide that care. We need to manage our capital wisely in some of the areas that we look at and look to expand. And I'll get into a couple of the recent acquisitions that we made. And we're constantly looking for operational excellence in everything we do and the partners that we work with. If you look on this map, a lot of dots, a lot of footprint. This gives you the depth and breadth across those 47 states of the sites of service that we're currently in. And I'm gonna switch over to this slide right here. within Kindred, there are 4 divisions. We currently own, under the umbrella of the Kindred Hospital Division, approximately 100 long-term care hospitals in the country. We also are the largest provider of home health and hospice services throughout the country through a recent $2 billion acquisition of Gentiva out of Atlanta. That's our Kindred at Home setting of care. I'm going to skip the rehab care in Kindred Hospital HRS over to Kindred Nursing Centers. We also own approximately 50 transitional care or skilled nursing facilities throughout the country. And in the bucket of Kindred Hospital Rehabilitation Services, we currently work with 113 hospital-based acute rehabilitation units. Again, that 1,000 those 1,000 hospitals that have an acute rehab unit, we currently manage 113 of those. So there's 900 approximately left that are targets. And we recently purchased for $200 million just in January 1, Centir Healthcare, where we can it's the largest provider of or largest organization now that works in a joint venture setting with acute care hospitals to build and develop freestanding rehabilitation hospitals. And we have 16 of those currently that we own and operate in joint venture with existing hospitals in markets throughout the country. In every one of these buckets, be it the hospitals and the long-term care, home health and hospice, acute rehabilitation and freestanding rehabilitation hospitals, and nursing center divisions, we are the market leaders in every single one of these categories. Again, I'll go back to the phrase, Kindred is the largest provider of post-acute services, all these services in the nation.
And folks, I think, thanks, Marty. This is what I wanted you guys to all hear and understand, that, we're swinging with the home run hitter here. If you add those numbers up, it's a $7.4 billion company. So, I mean, we're coming to the market with an opportunity and with the leader behind us.
And what's the most exciting for us is all too often big organizations don't look outside themselves for assistance and help in specifically the growth category. We are excited to work with Derby and excited to work with you all to expand our footprint even further into this market and into these markets that we can serve. Because what you'll find is that when all of this comes together, it is truly an orchestra that's beautiful, makes beautiful music, guys, and it has partners that are dedicated and focused, and really the outcomes and the stories that get told and the results of our partnerships are tremendous.
Okay, Marty, we're going to go ahead and switch now to question and answers, and I'm gonna hog the questions here for a second because we've got some agents that are texting us as well as sending us questions through the Global Meet room. And the first, can you fix that, Shrimp, so I can read it? The first question is, how does the ACA impact this initiative, and does the triple aim apply?
Triple A. The ACA, this is the Affordable Care Act is really focused on having patients not have longer than necessary or even any medical surgical stay. They're really focused on getting patients out of the hospital and through the continuum of care, which includes the post-acute continuum. Okay, the idea of spending 2-3 weeks in a hospital is not what the ACA is about. They want to get them transitioned to the next level of care where they can succeed clinically and regain their function and form so that they can go back home. This is of utmost importance to CEOs as I travel the country and talk to CEOs throughout the country. The development of a post-acute strategy is foremost in their minds, because part of the ACA that's really affecting the hospitals is the readmission penalty 30 days after a discharge from an acute care setting. If there is a readmission, the hospitals are getting penalized on their reimbursement from Medicare. So the coordination of the care through the post-acute continuum to make sure that the patient is going home and is staying home and is getting better in that setting is of utmost importance. You're going to find that this resonates with CEOs when you start talking to them about it. The triple aim, I'll be honest with you, I might know that by some other vernacular. I'm not altogether sure. I need a little bit more insight into that.
Okay, we'll see if we can get some more depth on that.
I mean, I don't know if you're talking about right patient, right place, right result. I don't know what the, I don't want to misspeak on that, so I apologize.
Hey, Marty, got a question from two of the agents. What if the hospital has more than one, such as here Baptist East has 9 or 10 hospitals? What does that mean? Does the fee apply to all of them?
It would absolutely. We would do, we can do a couple things, and we have done a couple things. We can put together a system deal which works on, collectively the 9 hospitals, or individually work with each of the hospitals, because one of the things that's interesting about health systems is, we found that all, the old phrase, all healthcare is local. There are local customs and processes that are unique to each facility, so we try to customize it to that. But long and short of it is, Sherm, that's an absolutely ideal situation, because, again, the coordination of the post-acute care amongst those settings is going to be top of mind with the CEOs and CNOs and COOs and CFOs.
So, Marty, if they sign, just as an example, 5 hospitals owned by one hospital chain, that's 5 contracts, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And let me add to that, too, and Marty, just for your confirmation as well, if one hospital signs 3 different products and 3 different contracts, that's 3 deals, right?
Yes, that's considered 3 units of service for us. There's different, in an acute rehabilitation unit, there's a unique pro forma and revenue and contribution and fee structure. And if you were to sign an outpatient, it would have a separate pro forma and revenue and contribution and fee structure.
Okay, we have another question, and the question is, it's a 2-parter. Let me do the first part. What does the 15 to 30-second elevator pitch sound like, and what are the key buzzwords that will get their immediate attention?
Kevin, can I drive this? I can't drive the presentation. Sorry, I was locked out. I'm going to try to go somewhere on the presentation. The 15 to 30-second elevator pitch is this. Is basically that this organization, Kindred Hospital Rehabilitation Services, works with hospitals throughout the country to optimize the post-acute level of care in your facility, specifically your acute rehabilitation unit, by improving outcomes, patient and clinical outcomes, by improving the operations, by making sure you're compliant, and by optimizing the financial return on an at-risk basis to you to meet customer and patient demand. And I can write that out or work with folks specifically, work with folks to make it comfortable for each of you.
And that kind of leads into the second part of the question, which is, how do we best approach hospitals where we don't have a relationship? Is there an email, letter template that we can send out? And Gary, I'll let you know, we're working on those materials as we speak. So, yeah, we're going to continue to get that information and push it to you. We will be sending out this deck, minus the slides that have to talk about the deal, so that you can share this deck with your relationships or with folks you're going to try and reach out to, and I'll get that out to everybody after the call.
Okay, Marty, this is Sherm again.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the triple aim apply, one of our illustrious agents, I told you you'd learn something on here. Is triple aim is clinical outcomes, patient satisfaction, and cost controls. Do we do all 3 of those well?
Absolutely. Industry-leading clinical outcomes, industry-leading patient, forgive me, patient, I was trying to write those down, patient. What's the second one, Sherm?
Patient satisfaction.
Patient satisfaction is always something that is, when you talk about an at-risk basis, both clinical outcomes and patient satisfaction are 2 of the criteria that each quarter we track, we trend, we look at with clients, and if we don't meet certain baseline performance metrics, we typically get, we get monies withheld from our fees because of it. But nationally, we exceed in each one of those categories. And then the third one was the financial outcomes, correct, Sherm?
Yes.
It should never just be about financials, guys. I just kind of be completely straightforward. It should never just be about financials, but let's call a spade. When you're a CFO of a non-for-profit hospital, you're looking at the bottom right-hand corner of your P&L and making sure it's a black number instead of a red number. If we can't improve the finances of an organization when we're managing a unit for them, there is no reason for them to engage us. I mean, that's just the bottom line of this. So the long and short answer is we absolutely improve and have amazing stories about improving the financial aspect of this environment, inclusive of that patient satisfaction and clinical. I think that Kevin, I think you're messing with the presentation. If you go back to the example, that $1.1 million is very real. Is very real. Not to get that out. Go ahead.
Let me. Mike and Kevin and I met with your chief financial officer, Joe Fuller, and that is an average size. The 1.2 million, Marty, you're spot on, but you've sold a number of them. They're in the $3 to $4 million range too, correct?
Absolutely. The bigger the hospital, the bigger the opportunity. We have recently out in the Northeast in Rhode Island worked with a 3-hospital system where the revenue is in excess of $4 million throughout where we provide management in the acute rehabilitation setting, the inpatient and med-surg therapies, and the outpatient settings. It is what in our world we call a whale financially.
Hey, Marty, Mike here. Don't we have isn't there a video case study on the patient side? Wasn't there a couple of things done like that?
Absolutely. You've got them there, and I can gladly make them available in a long version or a short version of the type of the type of outcomes that you see, the types of patients. There's one, I'm not going to go into it in length, but I think if everybody would take 5 minutes and take a look at it, Kevin, maybe we can make it available to folks, is one called Kyle's Story out of Cincinnati where a gentleman had an episode where he was recently married. He's a 35 or 40-year-old guy, and his wife was dealing with the fact that somebody said you should be looking for a permanent home to place your husband because we can't help him. The gentleman 9 months later ran a 10K, and it's a story that is absolutely happens in our units every single day.
That's a good point, Marty. What I'll do, guys, is I'll get that video and I'll post it to our Derby Agency YouTube channel so that you guys can share that. Just get the link and share it with anybody you want to via email, or if you're live with them, just pull it up. The reason why I went to this slide, Marty, is that if you could just kind of touch base again, just to refresh. We had a couple folks joining us in midstream here, so they may have missed this slide on the target market and where the sweet spot is.
Yeah, so let me go back. I'm going to say the same numbers again. 4,500 short-term acute care hospitals in the country that are just like every other in every one of your cities. Of those 4,500, there's approximately 1,000 of those hospitals that have what we call acute rehabilitation units, or ARUs, that treat specific patients that need rehabilitation services in those hospitals. Our target market in the 47 states that we work in the 113 hospitals that we work in currently to provide these services, the target market is typically a major or secondary city that has a population center that's relatively larger than a small rural community. And typically those hospitals are level 1 or level 2 trauma centers that take the medically complex, the difficult patients where the ambulance is going to drop off those patients. what we look for in those profiles, our sweet spot is really that having those hospitals, those 1,000 hospitals that have an existing acute rehabilitation units inside their walls, and they're looking for the best clinical outcomes for the patients they serve, to operationally be as efficient as they can for the employees serving those patients, and to maximize the financial outcome for those institutions. You know, when you talk about health systems and larger hospitals, they're all looking for a post-acute strategy because of ACA, because of the changing dynamics in the hospital world, because of bundled payments and things like that you hear about. They're all looking to provide an efficient, an operationally efficient, a clinically dynamic, and a financially successful post-acute continuum of care.
And you know, guys, right there is your elevator pitch. I mean, just reading that right there, hospitals that are looking to optimize the performance of an existing ARU in the best clinical way for the patients they serve, best operationally for their employees serving those patients, and maximizing the financial outcome for the institution or the hospital, however you want to say it. There's your elevator pitch right there. And how much do they get paid?
It's $1,000 to set up a meeting and get us a proposal, $10,000 when we sign it, and 2% of the net revenue.
Let me, Marty,
first 10.
Another question. Why does Kindred, never being in the agent business, need Derby?
Well, you know, because it's a good point. That's a great question, Sherm. You know, as big and as strong and as big of a footprint as we have, if you think about hospitals, they don't produce anything. They buy everything. So they are constantly barraged with new things and new what-ifs and focus and and it's very distracting and very noisy, as they say. What we're looking for is to expand our footprint even greater is access. When we can get in front of a CEO with you, or when we have gotten in front of CEOs, we are tremendously successful because there's not one other company out there that can work across the post-acute continuum of care for the hospital. There's a bunch of companies that can do one of them. One of those buckets, either a home health company or a skilled nursing company or an outpatient company. But there's not one organization out there that can work with hospitals the way we can across all continuums, one-stop shop. And when we have access to the CEOs and we have these conversations, it is tremendously successful. We just need more touch points.
What is your close rate for after we do a proposal?
When we get a proposal up in front of somebody, typically it's greater than 50% that we sign these deals. When we can get somebody to start negotiating a contract with us, that goes to about 90%, sure.
Here's another question, and it's a good one. What's the typical timeline on closing an opportunity from start to finish?
Well, that's, you know, it's something that we're looking and working towards improving. But typically it's between 60 days and 6 months. And I would love to tell you that that 6 months is not a reality and doesn't happen all the time. But if you know anything about hospitals, decisions aren't made easy. We will run as fast and have run as fast as a hospital will proceed. But too often there are, competing interests or prioritizations that are different, or just a lot of things that are out of our control. But with your relationship and your conversation, the wheels get greased a lot easier. So we're looking to bring that down. But I think that's a realistic timeline for these kind of things.
Another question came up, and I'll answer this one. The question is the footnote at the bottom where it says initial 10 contracts. Thanks for bringing that up. Guys, the 2% monthly recurring commission is for the first 10 agreements that get sold and get signed up. Afterwards, we'll be negotiating with them as to what that commission is going to be. There will be a commission, but whether or not it's 2% is the question. Hey, Marty, when we talked before, we separated the acute rehab units, the ARUs, into those that already have existing ARU units and those that don't, in terms of a brand new startup. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, it's not just because back to the ACA question and back to the future of what healthcare is going to be looking like. A lot of hospitals now, not only the 1,000 that have acute rehab units are looking to optimize them as the way we've just discussed, but there's also hospitals out there that are looking to start new acute rehabilitation units, and that's a part of our business that we absolutely focus on and absolutely work with hospitals to develop a new program or develop a new acute rehabilitation unit program in their hospital. So that's where the other 4,500 hospitals that are out there, they might not have an acute rehabilitation unit right now, but they could develop one. And that, too, is a contract, is a proposal, is an opportunity and a target.
And a follow-up question, just for clarity, guys. That's the first 10 contracts that Derby brings in across all of our agent base and gets signed. So there's a sense of urgency to get these in now to get that higher percentage. And that's the carrot that's being put out there is, you'll get your opportunities in as quickly as we can, and let's get Kindred engaged and get that process going. Let me make sure you're clear, though. You will still get a recurring commission. The question or not is, will it be 2%?
And let me add to that, after our meeting with the CFO, we need to make him a believer, and I will assure you, if we get 10 contracts in as quick and as fast as I believe that this team can, I will bet you money the commission goes up. He says they've tried many things, and none of them have been successful, and Marty can elaborate on that. They have bought this hook, line, and sinker. We had the president of this entire organization in our office Monday for 2.5 hours, and he loves it, but he had never heard about the agent model in all the time that he's been in the hospital business. It kind of shocked the three of us, and so he bought it one night sitting here this week, 2.5 hours, and he gave the blessing, let's go, and let's go fast. So I'm going to take a bet, if we get those 10 contracts and cover up all these people with Kindred, we win, we win, we win.
Yeah, and guys, as Sherm just mentioned, this is not something, we have done other hybrids of this at best where we engaged in some way in the past retired hospital executives to go call to help us get into doors with very, very, very limited success. It just never resonated. This is an exciting opportunity. It's outside the box for us, but we believe your unique relationships, your unique talents, and the ability to start conversations can really jumpstart this to a level that hasn't been seen before.
And let me also throw out, guys, like I said, we're going to be sending out the presentation deck to everybody. Do me a favor, send me a note, make sure that I've got you on there, because we got several folks on this call. Just want to make sure that I get this out to everybody that wants to get involved. If you want to have a conversation one-on-one with Marty, let me know, and I'll set up and schedule it between what works best for your schedules and his. And also, we're going to be getting materials together. We've got the deck, but we need to have some additional information like Sherm's touched on. Mike likes to call them TLAs or three-letter acronyms, and making sure that you've got a quick list of terms so that you can understand the talk and that people don't throw out the acronyms right past you and you're not familiar with them. There aren't that many, to be honest with you, compared to certainly not compared to what we're used to in the telecom arena, but they have their acronyms just like everybody else.
And so as you guys take this back and and think your way through it, and thanks for saying that, Kevin, is sometimes there's a unique situation where there's a specific question. Again, all healthcare is local, right? So that you want to run by me or something, guys, I would welcome the opportunity to spend time in answering those questions specifically, so that in each of your heads you can get a better understanding, or role play, or Q&A, or whatever it is. Just work through Kevin, and my assistant will work with Kevin to get the time allotted to answer those questions in short order.
Hey, Marty, one of the things that we normally do, and we'll get a read on all of our agents that would like to do, in addition to the questions that you're asking, sometimes we do a deeper dive into the product, and I would offer up, if anybody on here would like to do a deeper dive, we would do it next Thursday. And guys, please, and Elsa, please let us know if you'd like to do a deeper dive. We'll get Marty on the phone for another hour and a half, and I think that has always helped, because, Bart would ask a question that John Whitty was thinking about, or whoever was thinking about it, or Jeff Castle might not ask the question that Ron Wheat. I think it's really beneficial when we do those deeper dives, but we really don't want to wait. I'll just say, if those of you that want to do a deeper dive on Thursday, we'll do it.
And I think if we go into a deeper dive, folks, what we do is go into each of these circles so that you got a better understanding of the different possibilities from a product perspective, of what they can bring to the table, and what's out there for your clients.
And a question, Marty, how many deals have you closed this year?
We have closed 15 deals this year. We have a pipeline that is about ready on the top end of the pipeline to explode with another 5 or 6 here. Hopefully, if I can get my business development officers to get some pens in folks' hands in the next 3 weeks. And we're shooting to almost double or triple that this year.
Our goal is 80. Our goal is 80 in the next year.
Hey, Sharon, this is Jeff Hassel.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Marty, you've done a great job. Appreciate being on the call. And Sharon, you got me hook, line, and sinker, my boy.
Thank you. Go Cats.
Absolutely.
Guys, do we have any other questions that are out there?
If there aren't any other questions, I'm a pretty personable, straight-up guy. It's hard to do these presentations over the phone. What I would encourage everybody to do is to take a look at these slides, make some notes, get with Kevin, ask some questions. Let's start the dialogue so that when we turn everybody loose, that everybody has a clear understanding, with a conversation with me or with a role play or whatever it is, guys. I encourage you to really put me through my paces. Make sure you fully understand what we're talking about, because it'll show in front of a CEO and your contacts, and it'll resonate with contracts down the way. So I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you guys.
And let me say something, Marty, so you know. I've already gotten emails. One of our agents is a board member of a large hospital unit up in, which we talked about yesterday, in Chicago. He'd like to have lunch with you as soon as possible. Chicago. In Atlanta, we have one guy that has already responded. He's got 2 appointments there, and I'm waiting for Southern California to come through. They might not be totally awake, but they're on this call. So you did a really great job. I think there'll be a lot of questions, simply because I'm representing all the agents, have always been in a regulated business with 3-letter acronyms. So I would ask, as soon as possible, for you and Kevin to send out the 3-letter acronyms so these folks can get used to them, what they stand for. And I know there's not a lot, but the ones that are there are very, very important. So I would appreciate you doing that. And let me close by saying this, guys. We have never been in this position to where we go out and we make a call and we do a proposal, how many times we've done it and lost the business, lost the travel time, lost the expenses. In this case, you will receive $1,000 quickly. And then if you help us or don't help us get that closed into a contract, you receive 10 times that. So for your efforts, you're going to get $11,000, and that'll probably happen, if I had to guess it right, in the first 60 days. Might be a little bit longer, might be a little bit less. It'll take probably another 2 to 4 months to get it up and onboard it. Everybody needs to understand that, but you will receive on a monthly basis 2%. So if you add up their average, you will be receiving 24 times 3, and by Florida State math, I think that's about $72,000. And the 10 makes it 82, and the 1,000 makes it 83. When we went over this with their CFO, he said most of you guys, if you have the connections that you have, will average over $100,000 per unit for 3 years. Now keep in mind, 25 to 30% of their contracts are 5-year contracts. And I want everybody to understand, I love this deal from a standpoint we're introducing them to some of our clients. Some of them that aren't our clients are going to help us do that. And when they say that they've got people and references in every town across America, you know what I mean. They have an office right there in Southern California, in Atlanta, in Chicago. Marty, let me finish.
We've got thousands of employees, guys. I mean, you talk about the major. Look at the map on the presentation deck, and those dots. Those are all real dots. Give you some perspective. We are the largest employer of therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and speech-language pathology therapists in the nation.
Yeah. So
we have over 40,000 therapists.
So Marty, let me finish up.
Yep.
One thing I want everybody to know is we have vetted this product. We have vetted the people, and lucky enough for us, it's in Louisville, Kentucky, which is amazing to all of us that we got this deal done. Mike and Kevin and I went with Marty, and we have been introduced to all of the top people that work in that organization. There were 70-plus people at this 1-2-day meeting, and all three of us were there for both days. Oh, boy, and what we learned. And when somebody says, why do they need Derby, I could give you a number of answers, but I'm going to give you one answer, and it's the best answer in the world. The new president of this division wants this division to grow from $600 million to $1 billion in 3 years. Now, you all know about juice. You know about getting paid. You know about making something happen, whether it's Wiltel, MCI, Star to Star, or whoever you're selling. You know what that can mean. If we get out of the gates and we start quickly and we respond quickly and we swamp Marty and his associates, we win every time. So that's my piece. Kevin or Marty, you guys close and we'll get on down the road.
No,
Marty, any thoughts?
What's that?
Marty, any last thoughts?
No, just, thank you guys for your time. I know it's a Friday morning. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Please call Kevin if you have any other follow-up questions, and we'll get answers directly or a phone call set up to talk you through everything. Guys, as Sherm said, this is the road to $1 billion. We want to get there. We want to work with you guys on this, and excited as hell to go do it. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and hope all have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot, Marty. And again, guys, if you want to have a one-on-one call with Marty, send me your information, or just send me a note and let me know that you'd like me to get something scheduled between you and him, and we'll look and make sure what works best for everybody's schedules in the next coming weeks, or this week, or this weekend, or whatever you'd like. Hope you guys have a great time with the NCAA March Madness. If you'd like to join our pool, let me know on that as well. That out soon, and go Hoosiers. See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.